Excuse me. I hope you guys are having better weather than I am. If things freeze up or it gets spotty or goes out altogether, I am sorry. And we will pick it up later on. If we happen to cut off or anything, the weather, I know all over the state, everybody's just been getting beat up and people have been losing electricity. One area this day, another area it's hitting this day. So thank y'all for meeting me with Grace on Tuesday when I had to cancel NCCT prep. I'm sorry. Uh, but that's life. That's how it goes sometimes. But again, I appreciate the grace on that. I'm glad we were able to make it here today, and y'all were able to make it too. Um, we are going to continue on from last week. We started module 162 on Monday. But I mean, we're going from chapter 3 to 4. So we're just continuing on with our administrative part of the medical office area. And your labs this week, you guys, are all over the EOBs, all over the remittance advices, and getting into the payment posting. And you're going to be learning a lot about Medicare. So that's what we're going to dip our toes in today is Medicare. And I have a huge Medicare presentation. It's like 20 slides. It's a massive. We will not get through all of that today. Um, we we may even skip around a little bit, um, or we may get to a certain point and say, okay, that's enough for today. And if y'all want to continue on with it and learn more about Medicare, a little bit deeper dive, we can stick with it and talk more about it next week as well. Because y'all are going to be in it for, it's a good solid chapter, um, a good solid week. Y'all are going to be working with payment posting, and some of that's Medicare and dealing with those EOBs and figuring out Medicare build amounts and different things, working off of fee schedules and all kinds of fun stuff. All kinds of fun stuff. So I'm going to go ahead. We do have a holiday. We do have one announcement, holiday coming up. June 19th, I believe it falls on a Friday this year. We will not have class in observance of Juneteenth. So go ahead and have a nice 30-day holiday weekend. And get some family time in, celebrate all that fun stuff, but we will not have class. So yay. Um, let's see. And I think that's it as far as announcements. We'll go ahead and I will share my screen. All right. Can you guys see Medicare and medical billing? Awesome sauce. All right. All right. So the first little section is basically just the foundations of Medicare, the purpose and structure of the Medicare program. The Medicare program in general was created, it's a government program created for our senior citizens and disabled individuals in our community. They set national billing standards and coverage for that particular demographic of folk. Um, Medicare Medicare and Medicaid together are the biggest payers in the medical industry. They are the largest insurers in the nation. So you will deal with them a lot. And I will tell you now, people that work in Medicare coding in particular is money. That's good money. I've worked with one lady who did nothing but Medicare coding for surgeries for 25 years. And she was very happy. She did very well for herself. And she loved it. She loved it. If it's something that you can sink your teeth into, it's totally a good, definitely something that'll always be in demand. Okay, is a Medicare special billing specialist or coding specialist. Okay. Let's see. So we know that's what Medicare was created for. Now, how they work is They have what they call fee-for-service billing framework. They have a fee schedule. They have a set document. Um, in fact, if y'all want to, we can jump off of, once we go through a few slides and get to a stopping point, we can jump over to Medicare's website and we can pull up the fee schedule and look at that and see what that looks like. And that's something that you guys will actually, I used to have it saved to my desktop. Every year I'd go in and download the updated fee schedule. So I didn't have to go to the website and pull it all the time. That's how much I used it. Okay. And I had the same thing for Medicaid. You go to their website, download the fee schedule, and then you have it there and you know what they should pay for a certain line item in your when you're doing your billing. Um, there are times when, just like on our end of things, there's human error. It's humans working over at the Medicare and Medicaid offices too. So there is error sometimes, and we need to be able to catch that. And I have seen where they have paid incorrectly for a service. This one in particular was it was a immunization. It was a medicine that they were supposed to reimburse the provider a certain amount for, and they weren't. They were reimbursing it at a rate for a different medicine. So I caught that and I went back and saw how long we were getting the wrong amount for. And, I had to contact them and get that straightened out. So we need to be able to find where that documentation is, be able to access it easily, if our job pertains to that. All right. So Original Medicare reimburses providers for covered services using standardized claim forms processed by Medicare contractors. And they use the same, they set the standard for all of the other insurance companies. We use the HCFA 1500. Everybody does it the same because that's how they implemented and told us to do it to begin with. All right, coordination of benefits. Medicare secondary payer rules ensure proper claim sequencing with other insurers to avoid payment delays and rejections. So, one of the biggest issues that I ever had with an elderly patient was getting them to coordinate their benefits. What coordinating their benefits is when they have more than one insurance, that they let both of the insurance companies know that so they can get together and everybody's on the same page with the billing and we know what order it goes in. We know who to send it to first for primary coverage. And then once they're done paying, we know who to send it to secondary for secondary coverage. Now, Medicare, once they coordinate their benefits with Medicare, Medicare makes it really easy on us. It goes from their office straight to the secondary payer. Medicare forwards it straight for us, straight over there. It goes directly to them, and then it comes to us. So they try to make the system as efficient as possible for the little old folks and the people who need the help, So as long as you can get those people to actually coordinate their benefits, it's great. One thing to know about Medicare plans in general. Most of what you will see is a person on Medicare, and then if they have a secondary payer, depending on their financial situation, it might be Medicaid as a secondary payer, or it could be a secondary supplemental insurance like AARP or something like that. It is very, very common. That is something I saw a lot of, was Medicare and AARP. That is very popular in Louisiana. Our Southern folks like their AARP. And honestly, they provided good benefits. I never had issues getting payment information or getting them to pay on claims. So you will see that a lot. I've just completely lost my train of thought. Just completely lost where I was going with that because my kid walked by me. ah, okay, sorry guys. All right, so getting the little folks to coordinate their benefits is important. Now, here's the thing that they need to understand, and I've told all of my elderly relatives this too. And now I have not worked in a billing office in 2 years at least. So I may have a little, my information might be slightly outdated. I probably need to refresh my own information. But last I worked in a billing office, if if they switched from traditional Medicaid to a Medicare Advantage plan, they were not allowed to have a secondary coverage. And that hurt a lot of people for the first few years that they rolled out these Medicare Advantage plans, because most people don't understand insurance. And once you start talking to elderly people, not that I don't have the utmost respect for our elderly folks, but they are elderly, and sometimes they don't hear everything. Sometimes they don't understand everything, and they're too stubborn or embarrassed, or whatever the case is, to ask follow-up questions or to say that they didn't hear or understand. So a lot of people suffered because they all of a sudden lost their secondary coverage. They didn't know that they were going to lose it. And then all of a sudden they had out-of-pocket expenses where they had never had any before. With Medicare and AARP, they generally cover everything 100% for folks. But once they got on a Medicare Advantage plan, they lost that secondary coverage, unbeknownst to a lot of them, unfortunately. I saw that a lot, unfortunately. So just something to bear in mind, and that, keep that in mind too. Like when you're working, that's good information to know. If you come across an account that you're working on and the patient is under the assumption that they have a secondary insurance, and you see that they have a Medicare Advantage plan, you're going to check the rules. And, oh, I remember Miss Brandy telling me about people lost their coverage. Let me double check this and see if that's still the case. So, stuff to keep in mind. Let's see. Importance for billing staff. Understanding Medicare structure helps reduce denials, identify underpayments, and maintain regulatory compliance. Medicare is also the biggest auditor. Because they are the biggest payer, you're going to see them the most. And they are also famous for coming back and taking money years later and just auditing. They can go a certain amount of years back and just come and take money at any time. And you have no recourse because timely filing says you can't do anything after 12 months, and it's 2 years later. So, yeah, fun times, fun times. That's just how the cookie crumbles with Medicare. All right, so important things for us to know as billing staff is which parts of Medicare cover what. And the reason I'm gonna go over this particular each part is because they do ask this on your NCCT exam. This is something you're expected to know going into work at a medical office in the billing office. All right, is what parts of Medicare coverage. They will ask you which of the following does Medicare Part A cover, or such and such is covered under what part of Medicare, and it'll be Part A, Part B, Part C, or Part D. Pick. It is on the NCCT exam. There will at least be 3 to 5 questions on which parts cover what parts of what. Okay. So let's break it down real quick. Medicare Part A. Part A covers your inpatient hospital stays, skilled nursing, hospice, and some home health services with institutional billing. All right. So that's inpatient hospital. So anytime they're admitted, they have to be admitted to the hospital. They have to have an admit date, and usually there's a timestamp of their admittance for it to be considered inpatient. And Part A will cover it at that point. Skilled nursing is like your nursing homes, some LTAC facilities, rehabilitation centers, stuff like that can be all considered skilled nursing. Hospice, end of life care, that can be in the home or in a facility somewhere. Let's see, again, home health services with institutional billing. That again, those are usually tied to end of life services of some sort. All right, so Part B coverage. Your Part B is going to cover your outpatient services, your regular doctor's visits when you have the flu, when you're having a checkup, you know, your everyday stuff. Durable medical equipment, if they need a walker or a wheelchair, an oxygen tank, all of that is considered durable medical equipment. Um, diabetes test, diabetes stuff. The medications and most of the testing supplies go through pharmacy benefits. Insulin pumps, if they have to have an insulin pump, an actual device that they have to wear around, that I believe is considered DME. If you happen to go to work for an endocrinologist, that might be something you have to find out. If not, you may never need to deal with it. But durable medical equipment is covered under Part B. All right. And is billed via Medicare fee schedules. So again, off of that list of what we're going to pay for what, they have them listed out. And I mean, it's listed wheelchair type A, wheelchair type B, and the exact dollar amount that they're going to pay. And sometimes they break it down by it's different amounts for different states or whatnot. Let's see, Medicare Part C. Part C Medicare Advantage includes private plans with extra benefits and unique billing procedures outside traditional Medicare. I don't know a lot about Part C. I really do not. Medicare is not my specialty, um, and I am not that familiar with Part C. So Medicare Advantage includes private plans with extra benefits and unique billing procedures outside of traditional Medicare. So I guess there are some private plans that partner with Medicare to offer services under Part C. I will look into that. We'll talk more about that. I want more information. That may be some, like I said, I have not worked in a billing office in a couple of years, and Medicare wasn't my specialty when I was there. And Part C is not something I'm familiar with. So I'm going to find out more information. All right. So Medicare Part D is going to be your drug coverage, your pharmacy benefits, provides prescription drug coverage through private plans, important for coordinating secondary drug benefits. And I think they usually go through Express Scripts, is the outsourced secondary private plan that they use the most. That's the one that I have seen the most. I know Medicaid for sure used to use them. And I think right now Blue Cross of Louisiana uses them because I think that too mine goes through. But so that's Part A. I mean, Part D, excuse me. All right. So Part A, inpatient, skilled nursing, end of life. Okay. Think institutional. Think inside institutional. All right. Part B, your everyday stuff, office visits, equipment. Okay. Build off the list. Part C, Medicare Advantage. Private plans has its own billing procedures. And Part D, our drug coverage. D, drug. That's that's how I remember things, y'all. That is how I remember things. I gotta make it match up in my head some kind of way. All right. So any questions about the types of coverage other than Part C? Because I don't have a lot of information on that one. Okay, good deal. All right. Hey, awesome sauce. I let AI redo my thing, but I ran out of time and I didn't think it added anything in, but looky there. All right, differences between original Medicare and Medicare Advantage. I'm so proud of myself. I must have did a really good prompt. All right, so original Medicare billing. Original Medicare involves claims submitted directly to Medicare Max, which are contractors, medical authorized contractors, Medicare authorized contractors with standardized national fee schedules and consistent remittance advice. So original Medicare, just like I was saying, off of a fee schedule, and they send RAs to the doctor's offices, which is how it's always been done for me. Medicare Advantage billing. Medicare Advantage plans operate like commercial insurance with provider networks, prior authorizations, and plan specific billing rules. So so just like a commercial plan, I guess just a commercial plan for Medicare eligible patients is what I'm reading there. Secondary coverage differences. Original Medicare allows automatic crossover. That's what I was telling you about, y'all, the forwarding. We call that crossing over. They crossed over to secondary automatically. Automatic crossover for secondary payers, while Medicare Advantage may require manual secondary claim submissions. And that makes sense because if these Medicare Advantage plans are being handled outside of Medicare by other insurance companies, they're not going to have the same processes as Medicare. They're not going to have that automatic forwarding to the secondary payer. So, there goes our shortcut. But this leads me to believe that they can't have a secondary payer with a Medicare Advantage plan. So I'm glad that that has changed if that's the case. All right, so the importance of verification. Accurate identification of patient Medicare type is essential to ensure correct claim routing and payment posting. Absolutely. If they're on an Advantage plan handled by Humana, you don't want to be sending their claim to the Medicare office, right? To the government. You want to be sending it to the correct place the first go round. So you're always going to want to verify your insurances. That's kind of a given. Kind of a given. So not a lot of difference there other than Medicare is handling theirs the way they always have, but now they have some people that are being handled by private plans. Why Medicare knowledge is critical for billing accuracy. See, the importance of Medicare knowledge. Understanding Medicare rules is essential for accurate billing and avoiding denials or underpayments. That is correct. Like I said, y'all, there's errors on both sides of the table, and us being able to figure out the right information is key. Impact on patient billing. Medicare payment decisions affect patient statements and secondary insurer billing accuracy. The most unprofessional almost a doctor's office can look is sending out an inaccurate statement. Having a copay that did not get posted correctly, missing a payment from the insurance company that the patient knows was made. That could be embarrassing for the office. It doesn't inspire confidence. You want your doctor's office, like my medical care, I take my medical care real serious. I got stuff wrong with me. I got to take it serious. I need them to be professionals. And I have told people, you are not inspiring confidence in me right now. I have been that blunt with people when they were trying to put in an IV and they were having trouble. I was like, you're not making me feel good right now. So we always want to look professional and be as accurate as possible. Interpreting remittance codes. Knowledge of Medicare remittance codes aids in accurate payment posting and claim adjustments. That is correct. That is correct. And those remittance codes, guys, remember I told you they're either going to be at the bottom of each page or the last page. They'll list them out, the codes and what they are. And I think with Medicare, I want to say it's like just pages of claims and then the codes are at the end on theirs, the last ones I looked at. All right, so foundation for revenue cycle. Medicare expertise supports effective payment posting, follow-up, and coordination of benefits. And that's true because with Medicare, it's either covered or it's not. it's kind of cut and dry. It's either covered, it's either something they're going to pay for, or it's not, and it's either in the contract or it's not. And that's why there's the AB, it's the ABN form, that they get Medicare patients to sign, saying if there's something not covered by Medicare, we're going to let you know ahead of time so that you're not getting a surprise bill, and that we will bill you for things that Medicare does not cover, because they just know, they go by the fee schedule. Either it's covered or it's not. Okay. And that's where knowing the difference between if it's an Advantage plan will probably be really important for y'all, because the Advantage plan will probably cover more services and have more flexibility there. Okay. Good stuff. All right. All right. I think we're at about the 30-minute mark, and we're getting to the stopping point, or we're getting to a different section. So before I jump into a different section, let's see, how long is it? It's only about 4 slides. Y'all want to knock it out or save it, continue on next week? I'll leave it up to y'all.
We can go ahead and do it.
All right, let's do it. All right, so Medicare as primary and secondary payer. All right, so understanding Medicare's secondary payer rules. MSP rule purpose. The MSP rule ensures Medicare pays second after other responsible insurance to prevent overpayment and claims error. All right, if they have any type of commercial insurance, like say they are retired and they have Medicare, but their spouse is still working and covers them under their commercial plan with their employer, their Medicare will not be primary. Their commercial plan is always going to be primary. Okay. And there's rules in place and forms that people fill out when they're a Medicare recipient. There's a questionnaire, and you guys will, I want to say they ask about the questionnaire on the NCCT exam as well. But there's a questionnaire that makes sure that there's no other coverage that's going to be billable before Medicare is. And, are you a recipient of this? Are you a recipient of that, etc.? Okay. Common secondary scenarios. Medicare acts as secondary payer in cases involving employer health plans, workers' compensation, liability, and disability coverage. All right. So just like we discussed, commercial insurance plans, if it was a workers' comp situation and they're on Medicare, it will be like the third payer. Before I'm gonna guess that if they're working, they also have insurance, commercial insurance through their employer. So they have Medicare as their secondary. If it was workers' comp, Medicare would be the third payer, because workers' comp would pay first, then their medical insurance, then Medicare. Okay. Importance of accurate billing. Collecting insurance and employment information at registration prevents Medicare claim denials due to improper billing. Yeah, if Medicare even thinks for a moment that they are not primarily responsible for that patient, they will not pay until they find out for sure. If they think that the person needs to coordinate their benefits, even if you can prove that they're primary, until that patient coordinates their benefits, they're not going to pay anything. Okay. So if we don't have the correct information, it could hold us up. Okay. Because sometimes it is really hard to get a patient on the phone after they leave the office. Okay. So if you have them there, definitely always try to get the most accurate information you can at that time. All right. Compliance and coordination. Correct MSP application supports federal compliance and ensures timely reimbursements through accurate benefit coordination. Filing false claims, even accidentally, can be considered negligent. Okay. Fraudulent Medicare claims can get an office shut down. get a hospital system shut down. It can get a lot of people in a lot of trouble, cost a lot of people their jobs. It's not worth it. And honestly, in this day and age, there's so many safeguards and things. I don't really think a lot of offices try to pull it off. Because it's just it's they have too many safeguards. Like they say, correct MSP application, they are constantly auditing. They are constantly checking into it. It's not something that they just pay it and then let it go. No, they are famous for being retroactive, which means going back in time and doing things. Like I said, they'll go back and take back money if they think they weren't liable at that time. So compliance and coordination is key. Um, some doctors, their bread and butter is their Medicare patients, especially a general practitioner sees a lot of older folks in your community. Majority of their income is coming from Medicare patients. Okay. So just keep that in mind. All right. Common scenarios where Medicare is not primary: working age, workers' comp, auto accident liability. We're going to skip those two because we kind of already talked about that. Auto accident liability. That's a good one. No fault or liability insurance is primary for auto accidents, with Medicare making conditional payments expecting reimbursement. All right. So if somebody gets in an accident and they have medical, have medical bills because of it, and they sue somebody's insurance, Medicare may pay those bills in the meantime, but they're going to be expecting reimbursement from the liable party. All right, COBRA and disability coverage. Ooh, COBRA stinks. COBRA coverage impacts payer order, especially when disability is involved, requiring specific billing rules. All right, so if y'all don't know what COBRA is a program that they put in place so that you could keep your medical coverage if you lost your job. You could stay in your group health plan, but you would have to pay out of pocket like the entire amount for that. And it ends up being really, really expensive. I mean, like ridiculously expensive. I had to do it when I hurt my back. I did not qualify for disability because I had not been out of work long enough, and I was planning to have surgery to fix my disability. So they would not approve me for any type of disability benefits. And I had to keep my COBRA coverage, my medical insurance, to pay for said surgery, to help pay for said surgery. So when you're navigating COBRA and those types of plans, when disability is involved and different things like that, you just have to pay attention to your plan specifics. Go back to the documentation, um, the payers' websites, all that stuff, and just double check everything. And that way you make sure you're doing everything in the correct order. All right. Impact of Medicare parts on secondary billing. Medicare Part A and B crossover. Claims under original Medicare Part A and B often automatically cross over to secondary insurers, facilitating seamless billing. Like I said, they save us a lot of time with that. We've already kind of went over that. Part B, co-insurance billing. Part B covers 80% after deductible, with 20% co-insurance billed to secondary payers or patients, requiring accurate remittance processing. And it's again one of those things that's nice about Medicaid. It's one of the silver linings that you don't have to guess about what the coverage is. It's 80-20 across the board. It's 80-20 for everybody. And it's cut and dry with the coverage. It's either covered or it's not. So again, that's the silver linings of it. Medicare Advantage complexity. Medicare Advantage claims may not auto crossover, so you may have to forward them to the secondary yourself. Secondary payers often need plan remittance advice, complicating billing workflows. And honestly, it doesn't complicate billing workflows because you have to do it for every other payer anyway. You do it for every other payer other than Medicare. Medicare is the only one that crosses over claims. Okay. So AI. There you go. AI. All right. So the importance of accurate billing. Accurate coordination of Medicare payments with other coverage ensures correct balances and reduces reimbursement delays. Yeah. Don't hold up your money. Right? We want to do it right the first time. Good stuff. Coordination of benefits and compliance considerations. We've already talked about the purpose of coordination of benefits, importance of accurate records. If it's not documented, it didn't what? It didn't happen? We know. Yeah. Keeping updated insurance records and documenting changes promptly avoids claim denials and supports Medicare payer status. Absolutely. This does bring me to a good point. If you end up in the front office position, if you have an established patient come in, ask them about their benefits every single time they step in that office. Don't pass up that opportunity. They may forget to bring it up. Even if they have the best of intentions, they may forget to bring it up. It is your job to do your due diligence and make sure that their benefits have not changed. Okay. Impact on payment posting. Correct COB, coordination of benefits, ensures accurate remittance advice or RA interpretation and prevents errors in accounts receivable and patient billing. That is correct. Again, being efficient, doing it right the first time. Benefits are strong for yes, it's again accuracy, efficiency, being compliant, following all the rules. And all of that leads to a successful revenue cycle. It keeps the money flowing. You know, like I said, Medicare is one of the biggest payers in the nation. So you're going to deal with them probably quite a bit depending on where you go to work. All right. Any questions, concerns before we end it for the day?
No, I've taken all my notes, Ms. Bird.
Take the notes. If you know what, I will go ahead and post this. It would be probably good for y'all to have for NCCT review. This has a nice Medicare breakdown. So I will go ahead and save this as a file in Moodle on the homepage, and that way you guys can save it. And then that's easy
That's
notes
what I
too.
do. I'll go to Pinterest sometimes, and because I'm a medical billing and coding student, I'll see certain things, and
Mm-hmm.
I have good notes, and I'll attach the. I wish you could see it, but
Girl,
I'll attach the templates with my notes,
woo!
and this is how I do it. So
I
I
love me
see the
some good notes.
yes, I can see the charts. Like it's better, so you basically can get a visual without having to type everything. But yeah,
It is. It is amazing, y'all.
yes.
I'm so addicted to good notes.
Me too, because it even when you take notes, it quizzes you on your notes and everything afterwards. I really like it. It's came in handy for school. That's a subscription. That and Quizlet, that is something I'll pay for.
Quizlet is good.
Yes.
Quizlet is really good. Really, really good. I've had a lot of students give me really good feedback that they found that to be a really valuable tool for them.
Yes, it is.
Awesome. Awesome. I'm glad you ladies are taking advantage. Thank y'all so much for your time and being willing to stay a little bit extra and slog through a little bit more. Like I said, I try not to beat y'all down with the same information over and over and over.
That's
Because
good.
well, and the more times you hear something, the better it's gonna stick.
Exactly.
The more you read it. And for me, writing it. And
Yes.
that's one of the things I love about GoodNotes. I can write with my Apple Pen. So it's
Yep.
just like I'm writing.
I know if you
Because
noticed, that's what I was doing the whole
there's
time you were
power in,
talking.
I'm telling you, there's power in that gesture. There's
Yes.
power in the hand movement
Yep.
of writing something. I don't know what it is, but I retain things better when I do.
Me
So
too.
I use my GoodNotes for my daily planner.
Yep.
Yes, babe.
I love it.
Yes. Love it. Love it. But that is it for today, guys. Thank y'all so much. Y'all are doing really excellent in the training exercises and the application activities. So great job on those. And I just want to give y'all a huge kudos too, because every single one of my students was done with the module on the last day. Every single one of y'all. Every single one of y'all. I was actually able to turn in grades early. I turned them in early and I was like,
Yeah.
that's all of them. And there's not going to be any grade changes. And they did great. It was great. So thank y'all. Y'all made me proud. Y'all do me proud.
Thank you, Miss Brandy.
Thank y'all. And I am here, guys. If y'all need anything, y'all know y'all can hit me up on my phone or on Teams, email, however you need to. Okay.
Okay.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right. Y'all have a great weekend and I'll see you next week.
Bye.
Y'all too.
Bye bye.